I'm looking forward to that Super Bowl celebration. It's going to be amazing.
The Packers Super Bowl celebration. This year's Packers Super Bowl celebration.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why. And I'll tell you what the difference is.
Yes, sir.
You have years with, you had the relax, right? You had run the table.
Yes.
They did that. They get into the playoffs with a red-hot team.
Yes.
Firing on all cylinders, right? And then San Francisco comes in and says, you know what? We're just going to bring our special teams. We're not going to bring offense. We're not going to bring defense. We're just going to block some kicks, return some punts, score 12 points, and then move on. Or you have a year like the Seattle, where Seattle decided we're not even going to play by the rules of football. We're not going to do anything that anybody has seen before, and we're going to walk away with it. So I think sometimes if you're not tested, do you know what I mean?
I do. So you say all of that experience will come into bear. Now, what about the human being outside of the fandom?
Oh, we'll be done next week. Tua's got the fastest release in the game.
Yeah, I know, right?
They got guys. You can't even. You're still looking at this end of the field, and they're doing their end zone dances.
That's my concern. Is that even if you defense them, even if you come close to, defensing them well enough, and they could still put up 28, and I don't know the last time the Packers put up 28. I mean, it was against the Eagles a few weeks ago, but
here's my thing. If you go into Buffalo on a cold, snowy
that was amazing, right?
day, and people are literally, they're throwing snowballs,
right?
And I'm like, where's security? And it comes down to, whatever, a kick or a last second amazing throw from one of the best quarterbacks in the game right now.
Yes.
Certainly, this is the year that we've seen anything can happen. No team is out of it. It's ridiculous, all the narratives this year. Every one of them, the good ones and some of the ones that are painful in the NFL.
Yes.
This has been a year. I mean, you know this game better than I do. I've never seen anything.
It's been amazing, and this past weekend was truly remarkable. John Ridley here on the Rich Eisen Show. So let's combine the two conversations we just had. If you could write a comic book character based on an NFL quarterback, who would it be? You could start
an existing
a current NFL quarterback right now in 2022. You could write a comic book based on their abilities, character, traits. Who would it be?
Patrick Mahomes, hands down. No disrespect to the Packers. I love the Packers.
Yes,
but he, to me, everything about that young man and everything, his personal narrative, what he does, that no look pass he did last week or a couple weekends ago, where he does. He to me is the Magic Johnson of football, and there are a lot of great technicians. That Tom Brady, to me, and this is not a dig at Tom Brady, obviously one of the greats, but he's a great pocket passer.
Yes,
he's great and he wins, but it's not necessarily maybe the most exciting highlight tape. You have guys like Lamar Jackson whose highlight tapes are amazing. And this guy is Lamar is probably like the total quarterback, running, passing, and all that. I just think Patrick, he's magical. He's delightful. I will say with a little bias, and I just point because Sylvia, my publicist, is here. I only know people because my wife knows everybody.
Welcome to the club.
You guys have that in common.
Welcome to the club, sir.
So last year when they played the game, when it was Chiefs-Packers, and Aaron wasn't able to play because he had his the COVID issue.
Yes.
I find myself sitting in the coach's house, Kansas City.
And Andy Reid?
Andy Reid's house.
Yeah.
With Mrs. Reid, who is one of the most lovely human beings you will ever meet, before the game, because of my wife. And Mrs. Reid very nicely is scolding me. Now, John, you're not going to be cheering for the Packers today. No, Mrs. Reid, I will not be cheering for the Packers today. But I'm sitting there like, what? So just knowing the organization, knowing people around it, I've never met Patrick Mahomes, but he seems like a wonderful guy.
Oh, he is.
And just how he plays and how he represents, and to me, representation is really big
just
thing.
like, how does you look at that and not just smile, right?
Well, the other thing, and I will say this, he looks like my kids. He looks like my two incredibly handsome young men. I would love, I would, tons of people out there I'd love for my kids to meet. But there's something about that guy that you just go, if I were going to write a story, if I were going to take a character, if there was a dude I was going to spend a day with right now, I mean, I very seriously, I loved listening to Kirk Cousins. and his humility, talking about the game, talking about the tough times don't last, but the tough people do. You love hearing things like that.
Well, your timing may be off because I think our one chit to meet Patrick Mahomes for our guest was used by Henry Winkler the last couple weeks. You know, that we made that happen. But I mean, Patrick might give us one more shot at it.
Look, well, Henry Winkler is the other nicest guy.
I know he is.
You know, so you got the two nicest guys creating, you know,
superpower
Wonder Twin powers
Twins,
activated.
Xander
right
Jada.
there. Do you know what I mean?
Twins, yes.
Form of happiness.
The nicest person ever.
But you know what? I have a feeling sometimes
that's funny.
You listen to me. You know, sitting in Andy Reid's house before a game.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? I'm happy being the dude who's like, you know, one step removed from, you know, the actual good stuff that's happening in the world.
I love it. I love it. So you were at that Packer Chiefs game. So I imagine you had better seats than Jordan Love's family on that day. Because I don't know if you saw, they were in the last row of the stadium.
That's sad because we were not. We certainly were not in the first row, but we weren't in the last row.
No, you're John Ridley, or
no, I'm Mr. Gail Ridley.
That's right. Gail Ridley's +1. Gail Ridley's +1. Yeah, you were on that day. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.